Today we'll see about validation rules. Okay, so why we need to have validation rules? So the validation rule, see, you can't make field required always. There are times, so based on the values, the fields should be required, and based on the values, you should also need to validate what type of data user is entering, right? Like comparison, if I talk about start date and end date, and we know start date is always less and end date should be the higher date. But if we don't have a validation rule, user can select anything. Like he can select 8 here and he can select 29 here. Ideally, technically this is wrong, right? But system never understand until unless you write extra rules to a system saying that hey, this is how you need to validate. Then only it will validate. And if I say this way, like how many, when validation rule will execute at first step, because we need to understand that when this validation comes in place, any changes, any changes to your S object, any changes to your S object rows, then validation rule will be triggered. Validation will be rule will be triggered. So whether this will execute before changes or after changes, validation rule will always fire after changes. Validation rule will always fire after changes. It means that after it try to insert, after update, after delete. So it always executes in after. The reason behind, you remembered we have a formula fields, isn't it? We can also reference these formula fields inside a validation rule. When this formula fields will calculate on success save of a record, isn't it? On success save only this value will be calculated. Yeah. So on success save of formula field, on success save of record, formulas will be executed and recalculated. Then only it will update. And then those formula fields, if you can refer in validation rule, the validation rule will validate based on your formulas. So it means the validation rule will fire at the after events. After events, okay? Why I am saying this? Even for an insert or update, you always have a record ID got generated. Clear? Is this question? In validation rule, any event, like if it is inserting or if it is updating, you always have a record ID, right? Yes, exactly. Cache, some temporary store. Yep. So now, if I say about what type of events we have in the validation rule. We have, like, we can operate our validation rule in different phases. On insert we can do, on update we can do, on delete we can do. See how many different ways that we can handle. We can do on insert, on update, on delete. So how many events we have? 3 different events we can find validation rule at 3 different use cases. Clear? So if we can go back to the validation, let's quickly see what is available in a validation rule. So in validation rule we have different functions like logical function and arithmetics and conditions and all these. So using those functions we can able to do it. New, under object. Now you can see what type of functions we have: date and time, logical, math, text, advanced. Let's say text values begins, break, insert a HTML break tag inside the string if you want to display as a string. So different functions we always have. Advanced formulas, currency is changed, value is changed or not. Regular expressions, you know about regular expressions like the pattern matching about a data. So let's say if my postal code for US is should be either 5-digit number or 9-digit number, then we will be saying that hey, slash slash D. D means a digits of 5, and I will say hyphen slash slash D of 4, and I will say question mark. So what it will do, ideally, what it will do, either it will, the right value for this 1 2 3 4 5 or 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, either it will take this or either it will take this. If you entered anything like a 1 2, then it will throw error saying that this is not a valid format. So here we are not checking a values, here we are checking a values. Clear? It's a regular expressions that we use. So this is like a data pattern. Whether your email is right, whether your phone number is right, whether the entered text is in the right format or not. If it is a website, what is required? You need to enter either HTTPS or www dot and then your website name dot and then in or co, whatever. That's the pattern. But you can't validate whether that website is valid or not. But at least we can match whatever pattern you are entering is suggesting is looking like a website or not. Clear? That's regular expressions. The same way we have like a date and time operations, like if you want to add a month and all the date time validations, like what is current time, how many seconds from now, what is today's value, time value, and everything. Logical is something like this helps us to judge whether the field is changed, whether the field is blank, or what is the old value of my whenever you are updating a record. Imagine that when you can say the field value is changed by comparing old value with a new value, right? If I go here, if I'm editing, so what is my due date here? Whether my due date is updated or not. No. Now at least the value I am changing or value I am not changing. Here, I just came edit and I came. Now value I am updating or I am not changing. Here, like I just came here. I never entered anything. I came out. Don't worry that whether it is required, we are not going to see. At least technically, if we can see which value has been modified by me, how can you say it is only due date? Exactly. So here what we are doing, the change means you are comparing your old value of the field, what is the old value of this field and what is the current value of this field, right? So the system also need to understand same thing. It should read the what is my old value for that particular field, what is the current value. That way the prior value helps you. It will always return the old value of that particular field before it saves successfully. Clear? Okay. This is the operations we'll go through. If statement, conditional check and everything. The same way we have math operators, like you can see floor, geolocation, long, ceiling, mini, maximum, mode, round, and square root. See, we have different logics. And again, every logic, if you want to understand what is this contains to, on select of this contains, you can see a text here. Contains, it is taking text and it is taking compare text. If text contains a specified value characters, let's say Lakshmi Deepak. Now I'll say Lakshmi Deepak here and I'll say Lakshmi here. whether this text contains Lakshmi or not. If I enter Lakshmi Deepak here, so imagine is that if I entered here as a Lakshmi Deepak, okay, Lakshmi Deepak. Now, whether this text contains EEPAK, yeah, no, it's a piece of text which should exist within the text. It's a contains method, whether this piece of code with this series is existing in the text provided. If this is matched, then it will return true. Right? So it's just a piece of text that you will be checking here. Either you can check for a piece of text or you can also check for single letter, however you want it. But again, this is case sensitive. Let's say EEPAK, then you will get false. The reason behind this is not a uppercase. So what is the best way that you can do? Here we have another thing called upper. So instead of text outside, we will be passing inside. So everything got converted to upper, right? Now EEPAK contains this Lakshmi Deepak or not? Upper in the sense uppercase. Exactly. So what we'll do, this is how we have to validate. So it's a easy thing, but okay. So for now, we'll take a valid scenario. My start date always should be less than end date, and the date difference between start date and end date should be 30 days. Okay. Start date should be less than end date, and date difference should be start date and end date is 30 days, and end date and due date difference is 10 days. Clear? Any question in this scenario? Okay. Here, how many validations we are talking about? We are checking start date, end date, one validation rule, and due date, end date is other validation rule. There are two validation rules. Okay. No, we can manage it. And the difference between, yeah. So that two condition we can able to capture within the single validation rule. Because anyway we are validating on the same field. So what we can do, we can compare. We use a logical operator to get this done. What is the first we need to remember? Start date and end date. So what is our first condition here? Start date less than end date. First condition. What is second condition? End date minus start date equal to 30 days. Equal to 30 days. Now, end date and start date equal difference should be 30 days, or you can also say greater than 30 days. Okay. Now, you remember in last session we were discussing about and of true comma true. What is the outcome here? In our case, this is also error data. This is right data. What if it is like other way around? If end date is not greater than start date, we need to throw error, right? If not, error, right? And here, again, if it is not, error. If not, error. Now, here do we need to use R? Let's say 1, 2. I need to throw only error message based on both conditions true, or any one is enough to throw error message. Among these two, if anything got failed, my data is not right, isn't it? So which is saying, technically it is saying that It's not a un now. It's a or, right? Any of this is not true, then any of this is error, then we need to throw error message, right? Okay. Now, first thing, I just defined my or condition, okay, and I entered. It's okay to do a enter. And what is our first condition we need to write here? What is our first condition? Start date should not be less than end date. No. Okay. Now what I can say? Insert field. One comma two. Anything fails. See, equal to true. This is wrong. That is for unconditional I mentioned. If any of one is false, any one is true, then we need to throw error message, right? But always we write a validation rule for a wrong data, remember. We don't want to capture right data, we need to handle only wrong data. So we'll be writing conditions for if not in the validation rules, always. I know this is right data. Not of this is nothing but my validation rule. What I'm saying here, not of this is my validation rule, right? So end date, let's say insert field. We have an insert field, we are in invoices, and I'll say invoice. Here I can say less than or equal start date. Whether my first condition if not is satisfied or not. Don't see like this true condition, check for a wrong. If the end date is less than or equal to start date, then there is error, right? Yes or no? What is the right data? Yeah. What is the right data? Start date should be less than end date. If it is not that case, if it is a reverse case, that's a error. So we have to write a validation rule for a wrong data. So first condition is done. And then comma. So every condition will be segregated. Logical condition will be separated by a commas in validation rule. Okay. So this is one condition, isn't it? Brackets are not required, but for understanding, I'm just adding it. And what is our second condition here? So end date minus start date should be greater than 30 days. Minus start date. Or we have any functions like date difference. We'll check. Do we have any methods? Okay, where we need to check? Go to the date and time. Date time value, add month hours. Do we have any year? Oh, if I pass date, I'll get year in return. Weekday, if I pass date, it will throw whether Saturday, Sunday or not. What is today's time? Time value. Second. Return seconds, okay. Month, minute, millisecond, hour, day, date value, date time, add month. So there is no date difference between two fields. So what we can do? We can subtract directly. And ideally this should be greater than 30, right? This is right data, but we need to write for a wrong data. What happened? So less than 30 days. This is wrong data, right? Here I can say greater. This is wrong data. So check for syntax. So validation rule you always write for a wrong data. You don't want to capture for a right thing. Clear? You have to think. Greater than or equal to 30. Now, so only we are saying less than 30. If it is less than 30, it means that it is never been equal, right? So right data is greater than or equal. So it means that wrong data should be less than. If it is less than that, it's error. End date should be. No, no, this is for your explanation, Gautam. This is nothing to do with the. Yeah, this is a correct. How system knows I didn't connected your question. How system see whenever I am updating any record, right? Before it saves, it will execute all the validation rule in that particular object. We are writing validation rule inside object only. Invoice. So now it will understand. System will know, right? Whenever record is saving, always that record value will get bind here. No, no, no. Object manager, invoices, and then you need to write a validation rule under that particular object. You can't write, I mean, it's within the object. Should date be future date from start date of 30 days. So what I'm doing, I'm saying in a message saying that, hey, end date should be a future date from start date of 30 days. And where I need to throw error message? Do I need to throw error message at top of a page, or I need to show error message at a field level, just below the field? So that way the difference. Top of the page means you will get a error message at this point. You can see, right, there is error is showing up. And if it is at a field level, then you can select which field you wanted to say. I'll say end date, because start date is fixed. You need to modify your end date only, not a start date, isn't it? So I saved it. So finally we successfully created one validation rule. Now we need to test the scenarios. Let's say I'm going back, I'll enter 15 here, and I'll enter 8 less than date. Save. End date should be a future date of start date from start date of 30 days, right? So this is coming. And because I selected my start date is 15, let me select my future date is 30. The difference between 15 and 13 is how many days? So which is not 30 days again. It should throw error message. Again we got error message. So let me go back and pick another 50. Whether this is valid or not. Valid. Right? 30 days we got it right. 4th April, 15th, 4th April. I mean 15th April to 15th May. Which is more than 30 days. It's not just 30 days. Okay, and now what is the other rule that we are discussing about? End date and due date should, yeah, 10 days difference, and due date should be higher number, right? Now you help me to write this validation. Due date and end date, due date and end date. You help me with this. What are the two conditions that we need to check here? What is first condition? End date. What is the right data? I'm talking about a right data. And what is the second one? Right? So now No, now you can. Okay. Now, how to write this validation rule then? You help me out. Insert field, due date, what end date, which operator? Insert field, less than 10, equal, you are saying greater than or equal 10 is the right data, right? Now, what is the second condition? Due date. Again, I don't want to write. What is right data? Due date greater than end date, right? So I'm saying due date as you mentioned. Due date I'm picking up. Next, which operator? Y less than or equal to. No, no, no. That is right. Whatever you said is right. Y less than or equal to. Y not only less than. Alright. Here, if we see a right data, yeah, if we see a information what we entered for our references, due date always greater than. It's not equal. So other than this, everything is wrong, right? That what we need to use equal to also, right? So that whenever you are writing a validation rule, it's a handy to keep what is right data for you and then start with a validation rules. See, once you get habit or once you get practice, use it to it, then you don't need this information. You can able to visualize it. But until then, try to have like a right data coded first and end date. So now I have my due date and I have my end date. So let me validate my syntax. Oh, it's working. And what is the error message you wanted to provide here? Due date should be greater than, yeah, future date of end and of 10 days. Now where I need to throw? Do I need to throw error message at end date or a due date? Why end date? And imagine this here, right? Based on start date, you need to fix end date, right? Based on end date, you need to fix due date. Now, you mentioned a due date is 15th May, but you can't reduce start end date, isn't it? I mean, due date is 15th May. You can't reduce end date to less than 15th May. The reason behind we have other validation saying that it should be more than 30 days. Right? So what we see, understand this way. Realize the user experience in this case. You are here and user might selected like 15th May. And end date and start date is right in this case, isn't it? Based on end date, you need to ask user to push his due date. Right? User experience. He fixed this one, he can't come back and you say that, oh, 10 days difference, let me go back to 5th. Now 10 days is difference, right? But what if he saves? So now there is a confusion to a user, isn't it? Based on your validation error. So what if I throw error message here? Hey, due date should be a future. Then based on end date, he can calculate, oh, end date is 15th May. Let me add 10. So if it is 10, then it will be like a 25. No, yes, right? This is how we need to think. Now, what is the right place to throw error message? It's on due date. Exactly. See, you are throwing validation, everything is looks good, but where we are showing that information is really important. Let's say 20. I saved it. Due date should be future of end date of 10 days. So 25. It's right data. Clear? Any question? See, whatever we done for a validation rule, the two validation rule is same. The one I implemented was start date and end date. The one we implemented for due date and end date. Okay? They both are same. No differences. Now let me update this way because I think that we had an extra rule added here. I think we added extra rule. Go back to validation rules. I'll edit it. And can I remove this syntax instead of this? Can I remove this? Is that makes any difference to my validation? Whether it will gonna harm any of my rules here? Always right. If end date due date minus end date is less than 10, it means it's a wrong data. If it is not less than 10, it means that due date by default it's a higher date, right? Imagine that due date is 5th May and end date is 15th May. So the subtraction between these two, what is the count you will get? Huh? Let's save it. Yeah. Let's do that. Now I'm saying only minus. So what I do here, I'll update my due date to, okay, 3, no, let's say 1, and this is 15th. Now ideally I should get error message, isn't it? You got it? And if I say 31st, then so it means using this single subtract statement is more than enough to do your validation rule in this case. You don't need to write always big one, but it's not something bad that you had extra validation check. It's okay to have, but it also fine to have a precise statement what is actually required. With this statement, it is going to address in both cases. It should be less than 10. If it is due date is less and end date is higher, subtracting a higher date from a lower date, what happens? You will get minus values, right? Technically, that shows the date itself is less. Even not only for this, even for start date and end date, due date, it's for start date and end date, you can have the same thing. Instead of having like a complex logical OR, you can simply have this statement created. You don't need anything extra. It's okay. By default, it says, hey, this should be greater than, start date should be greater than always, less than always. That's what it means, right? Clear? Any question at this point? Any questions? Okay. Now, additional fields, we have any additional fields? We have billing and we have this. And I have a contact. Let me go to contacts. Let's say contact, detail. Do we have any title, fax, merge reports, birthday, phone? Now, whenever you wanted to create an invoice, at least the user should have either phone number or an email created. Clear? Whenever you wanted to create a new invoice, whenever you are creating a new invoice, if you are trying to select a contact, the selected contact at least they have a phone number or an email ID. Then only you can able to reach out user, right? It's not like, you can think this way. You have a contact, you should have at least phone number or email so that you can able to send in updates to him to pay the dues. Let's do that validation. How can I do the same thing? Again, go back, validation rules. New, and I say contact name. Contact name. Here I can say contact should contact at least phone or email. So contact should have at least phone number or email. So now what we can do? Now what we can do here? But whenever see, imagine that whenever I'm creating invoice, my contact might have I might have chosen my contact. Okay, while creating invoice I can choose my contact, and later if I remove this contact, or like if I what I can say, I okay, I created invoice today, but tomorrow I come back to a system, somehow my contact, email ID, phone number got removed. That time I can't show error message in my invoice, right? So what I need to do, I need to do this validation only when the user is inserting a record for a first time, not an update, only for a creation time. So how can I do that? So here we have a function called isNew. Here we have a function called isNew. IsNew always returns true when the record is creating for a first time. IsNew always returns true when the record is creating for a first time. Okay. And I'll say and it should be isNew, and then I'll say we have two conditions again, right? First we need to check isNew, and then I need to say whether contact is at least they have phone number or email, right? Now again I need to say contact. I need to go. There is arrow mark you are seeing, right? Small arrow mark, which will take you to the contact object, the related object, parent object. Email. Now whether email is there. So what we can do here is blank. We have a concept called is blank. So now I'm checking whether my contact email is blank or not. And then what is the next field that we need to check? Is blank of contact's phone number. Now I'm going to my phone. So now how many conditions we have? Now the record should be new, and if both email and phone is blank, then it should throw error. If any of these is not blank, then automatically and will return false. So error validation will not fail. Selected contact both phone and email is blank. The selected person. I need to throw this error message at a contact field. Now let's go back and we'll create one more new invoice. New invoice, discard changes. And I'll say start date is 15th May, 25th May, right? I select Lakshmi Deepak and I enter say both phone and email blank for this particular person. That's how it was there. So what, right? Oh no. Unpin, duplicate. So it means validation rule is not just the same object, it also can get the parent object information to do the validation rules. Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain in this case. If I go back and I'll enter my phone number, okay, I entered my phone number. Now if I say either phone number is there, right? In our case, either at least either phone or email it should contain. So in our case, phone is there. So I'm saving it. It got saved. Uh, it's already on. Now I need to say if I need both fields are required, then I'll say or. Oh, okay, 1 minute. So you are saying that both email and phone should be required, right? Okay. In this case, if this is blank, then I'll return true. If this is blank, I'll return true. So if any of these is blank and I need to return true, okay, you mean to say, so you're expecting me to write a validation rule which email and phone is both are required. So in this case, let's imagine, let's do some brainstorm how to do that. I need a phone number and email required when I'm creating a field. Is blank and is blank. Any of this is blank. Now, in this case, both are required actually. In this case, or this is how it will work. I need to write or condition. Or what it will return. Understand this, right? Now you can imagine, you can visualize it. Now what it is doing? What is R stands for? R will return any one of the value is true, right? Imagine if email is provided is false, but what it is returning here true, right? If it is a new record and this is R is returning true and is written true, isn't it? When this R will return false if both values are provided. If you fill the both values, then only R will be false, right? Gautam, is this your question? This is how you are expected, like you need to have both email and phone required always, isn't it? Now we got that. Here you need to think. So R will return true. Any one of the value is blank always, right? When R will be false, if both fields have a data. You asked me, what if I want to have both fields required? Then I'm saying R of these two values. So if both fields value is provided, so R itself is false. So true comma false of one will be false, right? When that is false, the validation will not execute. Validation rule will execute only for a true cases. The outcome of logical operator should be true. Let's decode this then. Let's decode. So now and of is new. So you are inserting a record. This value will be true, isn't it? True. And what is this value stands for? You are providing this data or not? You no, I'm asking in this case we have a multiple cases now. So in this case, whether you are willing to write your email ID or not. Let's say I'm not writing it. So it means that this will return true for me. So email is blank in this case, okay? But in this case, I'm provided my phone number, my outcome is false. So what is the total outcome of R? What is the overall outcome of R? True comma false. In R, if one value is true, then outcome is true, right? If R of true comma false, true or false, then results is true, right? So true comma false is true. And of true comma true, true. So the final outcome is true. So let's do the same case. Control Z. What happened? Oh, that much only. Cool. So what if it is false? I did enter my email and it did not enter my formula. Then still result same, right? What if I entered my phone number also? Then this is false. What is the total outcome? So now it means that we implemented a validation rule which is expecting both values always, else it will be an error, isn't it? Right? That is what your question. Gautam. We cannot check it. So you need to have this validation. No, I. What's your confusion here? Simple. Stick to your question. You ask me a question like, what if we want to make both email and phone is required, right? So in this case, if any one is blank, you need to throw error, right? So if any one in the sense, you need to check for a or condition, whether this is blank or this is blank, right? So that's what we are doing here. And we decided to write this validation rule only for a new records. So only we had this new, right? Any question? Okay, again, Gautam, I'm not too sure, like you got this logic or not. So hope if you have a question, you can shoot me. I'll try to address with a different example. Say, so now it got saved successfully because even 30th, let's say new, my Lakshmi Deepak have only phone number, right? Start date is 15th and end date I'll say 15th, 25, Lakshmi Deepak, say email is blank, phone and email is blank, and instead of and I need to say, okay, and is email blank for selected person. Now what I do, I'll just edit it, remove, and I'll go email and I'll enter my email and I'll say. So now again phone is blank. Still I need to get that error message, right? Save. I got that error message. Thinking that phone is blank this time. Let me enter my phone number. Save. So I have phone number, I have email. So I have no issues with my invoice. Right? See, all this is like a just visualize like how your R works and how and works. That's the only difference. Like you know how to compare a value, but the problem is that how logically you need to keep. That's what we need to crack here. See, earlier case, what is our requirement? User should at least have either contact or a phone. So instead of I use it directly at because if I had a phone number entered, so is blank always false, right? Inside and condition, one event is false. It means that the outcome is false. My outcome is false means I have a right data, right? But when Gautam asked me, how can we make both fields are required? So in this case, I need to get outcome always false for both the fields. So then what I did it here, I used or condition for both phone and email. Any one of these is blank, I need to throw error. Any one of these is blank, I need to throw error. That's what we need to use or condition. When you say either case, you don't need or, you need to write and. When you say any one of, then you need to write or condition. You'll get it in practice, don't worry.